if someone would have asked me, would you do this all day instead of going to school? Guess what I would have answered? Definitely yes.
Yeah.
I think just the fact that if you're passionate will help you way more, especially in the beginning, because most of the people won't see results in the beginning. And I know this is cliche, but while our agency still does decent revenue nowadays, with all these no-code tools, no businesses or companies will probably need software development services like that in let's say 5 years or 10 years. And I'm a teenager from Romania, right? I don't have many resources. If I'm able to do that with AI and create a product around it, then just imagine what the people that have actual true AI power can do. So,
Hey guys, welcome back to the Me with Ish show. Today we have a 16-year-old entrepreneur, Vic Giurgiu. He was a freelancer at the age of 14. He became an agency owner at 16, and now he owns his own SaaS. So welcome to the Me with Ish show, Vic.
thank you, Ish. I really appreciate you invited me, and yeah, let's see.
So Vic actually has been just to get a little bit of background. Like his agency was a software development agency. He started as a freelancer, got some friends in working with him, and then he started his own company, and now he's building this SaaS that connects affiliate marketers and companies. And there's a lot more than that, which he's going to talk about, obviously. But Vic, like you're still 16, you're still in high school. You know, you have a lot of stuff going on in your life. Like, what gets you out of bed every morning? What's motivating you every day?
Yeah, great question. So, well, technically, still at this day, still my mom, because I live with my parents. But um, metaphorically, I just enjoy the process of being in the SaaS world, especially now things are moving so fast. I'm always here for the new technologies. I'm always here to see what problems I can solve using technology. So this is what keeps me motivating, and this is what keeps me to like be productive, and this is what basically gets me out of bed every morning, I'd say. So
When do you really get into this game? You said you just find it so interesting, the software game and the SaaS, but I think
yeah,
you first started with game development, right? That's what you got into
exactly,
initially. And how'd you like get
right.
into that?
Yeah, so well, I as a kid, like most of the kids nowadays, I really enjoyed gaming, right? So I was a big gaming fan. Got my first console when I was about 8 or 9. So I really loved playing games on the console a lot. So I was spending my time during that time. I was spending my time 90% just gaming, which is not a great habit, but it got me to be interested in, oh, how can I create my own game? So at some point, I so I started talking with my uncle, which at the time he worked for Ubisoft in game development. So he told me, "Oh, I'm working on Watch Dogs. I'm working on Assassin's Creed." So in my mind, I was like mind blown, because I was like, "Oh, my uncle works on these games. This is really cool. Let me see if I could do something." So I got into the basic game development stuff. Started watching tutorials on YouTube. I He helped me along the journey for sure. So anytime I had any questions, I reached out to him, and he was really helpful during that time. I created my first game when I was about 12 or 13. It was a really simple mechanical game. So the idea was like a simple rocket ship flying. It was really simple and buggy, but that kind of was the spark behind everything else. So that got me to creating more and more games, and this got me my first freelancing gig, basically game development.
Well, talk to us more about like the first freelancing gig. How'd you land that first
Hmm.
client? Was it someone you knew, or
Sure.
did you do some sort of outreach for that?
Sure. So this kind of connects with what I explained earlier. So basically, me being connected with all of these game development communities, because I was either helping people in this Discord server or in these forums. So one day I saw a section in the Discord server. There was a big Discord server for game development. I think it was called Brackies or something like that. So I saw this really cool section called paid work. And so there were people posting their services and their experiences for other people to like get hired for game development gigs. So at that time I had around 2 or 3 games that I've been working on. I was passionate about it. So I decided, why not? I'll give it a shot, right? So I posted my gig, and so I didn't really expect anything, right? I was still working on my games for free and for like passion. So at one day, someone reached out to me on Discord, and he was like, "Oh, I have this really cool game. It's a college project. Maybe you want to help me finish it faster. You could help me implement these and these features." So I was really excited, obviously, really young at the time, didn't know anything about making money. So what I did is I was, yeah, sure, let's do it. So he told me that his budget was $5 per hour, which was great for me because at the time I didn't earn any money. So yeah, it was a new opportunity. I created a PayPal account, and I for my first gig, I believe I got around, let's say, 75 to $85, something like that, in a month, or in a month and a half. So that was when I was in around 8th grade. It was crazy. So
Yeah.
that's what got me intrigued in this entrepreneurial world.
And it's important to notice, like, I think the conversions to the Romanian currency would make it worth even more, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're getting paid US
Yeah,
dollars and
for
then
sure.
gets converted for a
Yeah,
seventh
definitely.
grader. Like, it's a lot of money. Um,
Yeah. In fact, like here, like the average salary in Romania is 800 bucks per month. So it was quite a
oh,
bit of money.
yeah. So you really leverage the community. Do you? Or I think we like talk more about it a bit more in the future, and it's interesting because I wanted to know how you, because you were, I think, how old were you at? Like, I think you were around 14, 15 then, and then you actually started this
14,
as
yeah.
a company, and you got like some of your other friends. Like, so how did you even find people with that skill set at such a
Hmm.
young age? Like, how did you find the
Yeah.
community of these people?
Okay. Great question. So in yeah, I once I started coding as a kid, I started participating to all of these local contests. I started going like to programming clubs around the city, and so this is how I got to meet the people that I started my agency with. So again, really young and talented people. Some of them were a bit older than me, maybe around 16, 17, but we connected. I told them, oh, I have projects that we can work together on for money. And so obviously they were like, yeah, for sure, let's do it. So this is kind of how I skipped a bit of the story, but this is basically how I got started with my agency. So in fact, I started working on many projects after my freelancing gigs, because I was like, oh, if I can find projects constantly, but I can handle all of them because I was still coding on some of them. I was like, maybe I can find some other people to work on them, because I know I have many talented friends in the tech industry. So I thought that maybe I could find those people, and I could collect commissions. So I kind of started an agency without really knowing this agency concept,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's really popular right now with people like Iman Ghazi and other people that promote this business model.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's interesting that you started. Were these people that you were getting for an agency back then? Were they people from that Discord page as well, or was this at a point where you started like doing outreach and trying to go get more clients for yourself?
So the people that we were working on at the time. So once I started, because I obviously wanted to scale really fast, because now I had
Yeah,
people that could work on project. So at that point, I saw that, okay, for Discord I could get maybe 550 to $150 for a project, but that's obviously not enough to make a good living, right? So we started advertising on platforms like Fiverr, and we also outreached at least 10 to 15 local companies at every week or so, so that the kind of like the average price per project grew to about, let's say, 400 to $700 per like an app or a website, because we
yeah,
were mostly developing desktop apps. So I started with game development, but I really moved quickly to mobile development and desktop development, because I saw that, okay, for mobile and desktop development, I can actually sell these services to companies, right? So
yeah.
at that point, I knew that there is way more money to make over there.
And what softwares were you using at this point to do the mobile
Mhm.
development? Were you using like native game development softwares, or what were you using?
So for mobile development, we were using Capacitor JS, which is a JavaScript framework, because I
Okay.
like the the programming language that I use the most is definitely JavaScript. So for mobile development, it was Capacitor JS, and then for desktop development, well, it was Electron JS, which is another JavaScript framework. So both of these are native technologies because with Capacitor, you can develop for iOS and Android with the same code, which was really nice
Yeah.
for all the companies that we worked with. And some of the gigs that we got were actually, oh, we have this app, but it only works for Windows. We wanted to work on Mac and Linux as well. So then we were like, okay, let's have a look at the source code. Let's recode this into a native way. And you basically hit three targets from the same code. So that was a great addition. But yeah, mostly native technologies and programming languages, mostly JavaScript for sure.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah,
But the funny thing is, I mean, talking about that is like how you were learning all this must have been like such a like steep learning curve for you as well. At the same point, when you're going to school and you're still so young, these are things that they don't teach in school, right? Or at least most schools
yeah,
aren't about your school. But um, and then right now, there's a huge trend of people just like getting media buyers or just hiring people from Fiverr and Upwork to do the services. And here you were like a few years back when you were a lot younger, and it was a very difficult skill, much more difficult than running Facebook ads and doing short form content agency or whatever that's the trend right now. So here you were like learning all of this and at the same time providing services and at the same time also running this company. So how was it? What was the challenges at that time for you?
yeah. Well, definitely school, the number one challenge. It was no exception, right? Because
Yeah,
I still had to keep up somewhat good grades, although I will admit that the grades once I started really focusing on my agency and once I started realizing that, oh, I can actually sustain myself and kind of, let's say, pay for my bills with this money,
yeah,
I started investing myself more and more, so that resulted in grades going down. I'd say that's definitely a challenge, but I'm still to the point where I can manage both of them. So I was at that point where I could definitely manage both of them without me being like uh tired as hell, like the whole day, right? So I still
yeah,
try to keep. I'd say the biggest challenge definitely balancing my social life with my school life and my work life, because it's a lot to take in, especially when you're still in school. And I know this is the situation for tons of teenage entrepreneurs right now, because I get in touch with tons of them,
yeah.
and they're usually telling the same thing. So I'd say that's the number one challenge. And then I think that just the fact that I started coding so early, I'd say so that actually the technical side with managing the projects and getting them finished, I'd say that was really enjoyable for me. So I wouldn't call that a challenge. So I'd say that might be a bit surprisingly, but if you would ask me at that time when I was dedicating myself so much for the agency partners and talk about, oh, we can find more customers and more clients using this or that, or here's how we can improve our tech stack. And so I would have rather that for sure. But yeah, I'd say these are some challenges that I faced in the process of running the agency.
Yeah, for anyone hearing this, this is what like love for the game sounds like. Because
Yeah,
you'd be like
yeah,
fine with like sitting down all day and still doing it despite all of that. And it's interesting because I mean again for me the impressive thing is like I mean as you said there's a lot of actually now, especially with agency, but a lot of like young teenage entrepreneurs that are showing some sort of like okay they're doing business, which is actually an amazing thing as well. But I think
for
the
sure.
thing what you doing is also that it was something really difficult actually because the service delivery is really important as well. It's not just getting the customers and
Yeah,
clients, which is hard as well. But even doing the service delivery and for something that's so technical and difficult, I think it's like that's what's the most impressive thing for me. And the fact that you enjoyed that part the most really shows that like the growth for you is like there's no limit for your growth. So it's pretty cool.
appreciate it. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah,
Um.
just wanted to. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say yeah. Like continue. No worries.
Sure. So with all this SMMA growth, what I've seen is that there are tons of people that don't really started 100% from passion, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's a huge factor. I'm not saying it's not possible, and I don't consider myself successful like all these other people. For sure, I still have a long journey to go.
Yeah.
But for example, I probably worked on my game development skills for 1 or 2, maybe even almost 3 years without getting any real actual results. So yeah, that if and I was a bit younger. I didn't actually need that money, but if I would have not had the passion, I think definitely could have not done anything in the tech world.
It's a good thing when you're passionate it's about something that's difficult and that's like has a good like financial reward. And in your case, that
Yeah,
worked out for you. Like you're passionate about something that like you could just do for the rest of your life and earn money and even enjoy doing it. But some people, that's not the case. And I think like as
right.
you said about the SMMA, that's one thing I think big. Like a lot of people are not passionate about it. But also, I think another mistake could be is that like in order to build it a sustainable business or get like repeat clients, like I think it's really important that you have some sort of like knowledge or competence in like the thing that you're doing. Because if you're gonna hire someone off like Fiverr or like someone for cheap, like right off the first service of stuff, you're never gonna learn it on your own. So there's going to be so much more challenges for you in terms of business to scale it. And I think in your case, and I think in a lot of other people, that they miss out on like a lot of successful SMMAs, or even for Iman, like we talked about it, but like he used to do a lot of them. Like if he watches like earlier videos when he was also 16, 17, he talks about actually like he was doing a lot of the client work as well, initially. So um and I think as I said, like as you said, that allows you to actually work for a bit without having the pressure of getting money initially. Because if you've already hired
Yeah,
people, then it's like you have that added pressure of like, you got to maintain a team and start paying them and looking after them and stuff. So, if you're doing it on your own,
of
then you kind
course.
of remove all those costs and even your profits are higher. And then, it's fine if you don't get paid as much initially. So,
Yeah, agreed.
are you okay with maybe telling how much you were at this point making? So this is before you turn into SaaS. So at this, like at your peak, like how much you were making per month with this agency?
Yeah. Well, I'd say that it obviously depended. So, uh, in terms of profits and revenue, I think max we were like our best period was definitely during the summer, and that's something that I've seen with software a lot because tons of companies in the software world what they do and like not necessarily even in the tech world, but because we worked with physical businesses as well. But during the summer, tons of companies actually work on building their products and their new features, just so when the like the cold season comes, so that's late late fall or beginning of December, that's peak of marketing, right? Most of people know this. So that's when they actually start pushing those features. So summer was definitely best period for us, and I couldn't tell you exact numbers. I could probably tell you that like the agency made me in total about, let's say, from 5 to 6 figures. So I put it in that range.
Five
I
to six.
I'm not sure
Okay.
if I'd give more detailed numbers
Yeah.
because I but around that I'll keep it at that.
Okay. Which I think is pretty good. Um and what you said is true. I actually thought like now that you said it makes sense because I didn't play a lot of games. I played some games. Most of them were like sports or multiplayer games online or with friends.
Hmm.
Um, and so I used to play like a lot of FIFA and stuff. And I was just thinking about it. Yeah, like every time FIFA launches in September as well, or September, October
Yeah.
every year,
See,
right? So
that
it
makes
makes
sense.
sense. Yeah, but also it's kind of interesting because I think companies like probably get I guess yeah, I'm thinking because like they have a lot of interns as well at that point, right? So it's like it's interesting that they hire a lot of agencies as well to do their work when I feel like they could also hire a lot of interns or like people for
Well,
free to like
yeah.
work on that during the summer. So
Hmm.
um
I think
um
like in terms of what we most of our projects were, so I could actually give you an example. We worked with this really big company from Switzerland that's listed on the stock market. They're a company that they produce like mechanical parts. So they produce, I don't know, like gears and like all this type of mechanical parts for engineering. But what they hired us for was, so they had a really big conference event, and you know that every time you go to a conference you kind of need that software where you have your slideshow, right? Because there's that big screen in the conference room,
Yeah.
and someone has like the either a laptop or like a remote, and so they hired us to build that slideshow software for them, which that one was interactable, so they could actually call people on stage and people could actually browse to the catalog and all of that. So they needed that custom because obviously they were a huge company, they had the money, but so basically we worked with their manager because they were a huge company. I think they had over 250 or 500 employees. I couldn't tell you the number, but thing is, so we worked with their manager. He was in charge of that project, and he basically hired us as an agency. What he told me is that he was given a budget to get this thing built, and it was up to his like his choice whether or not he wanted to work with internal people, which was more expensive, or he could work with some outsourced people or
Yeah.
some agency for that project. So that project was a bit stressful because we were actually on a really strict deadline because the event was getting closer and closer. So I was working with my devs with that manager. I was getting from school, getting calls with those guys. So that was definitely an interesting experience. But
How did
getting
they
back to
find
what you
you?
asked, I believe that was either to SEO or through some listings on our marketplaces. So it was either SEO, Fiverr, or Up or Guru. That was a freelancing marketplace we were promoting our services on. But
Okay.
we did an outreach.
Okay. Okay,
We
that's
did an
cool, man.
outreach to that client.
Okay. And are you allowed to talk about any other like games that you're working on maybe that's kind of public right now, or is it all NDA?
Well, that wasn't a game company. It was like they were doing like these mechanical
Yeah.
engineering parts, right? So for, let's say you had like a company or a biking company, you would go to them to buy the really micronic parts, so really small stuff and
Yeah.
small items that you would have to have in order to build those engines or like pistons and stuff like that. All I could probably say is that yeah, they're a huge company listed on the stock market. So
Are
and
there any are there any other such companies that you can talk about, or
Uh,
NDA
this
maybe?
one, I would say not, but yeah, I could definitely talk about some other ones. So we built some mobile apps and websites for a really big Jersey store that's in Europe. I think it was called jerseystore.com, I believe.
Okay.
So that was one of our bigger customers, and then other things we worked on. We worked on some apps and mods for specific games. So we worked with gaming YouTubers as well. One that comes into my mind is a YouTuber from the US, which I'm still really good friends with. His name was Super Shiftery. So we worked with that guy as well. He has a pretty big audience of around 150 to 200,000 plus subscribers. So yeah, I think these are some more important customers that we work with and that could probably also have like a public image rather than the other ones, because there were some local firms as well which aren't such relevant. So they had good
Okay,
products.
that's
So
so you guys were on the rise. You were like, getting these big companies to work with you, and then you decided to transition into SaaS. What made
mhm.
you like make that decision?
Yeah, well, so first off, I'd say it was a three thing part because it was definitely a three-step process. So first of all, I've seen kind of revenue sort of stopping or like declining a bit month by month. So then I was like, I think this might not be a good long-term solution because I've seen the revenue declining every month, and I've seen on the other side, I've seen all of these really cool no-code tools that basically let you create desktop apps, mobile apps, and web applications, really complex ones, just from no code. So I was thinking that while this still does decent revenue, although it was nothing mind blowing since at that time. So since I'm really young, I was like, yeah, I'd probably transit to something else that's better long term. And here I'm not saying necessarily that coding or like programming agencies or freelancers will go away or will fade away anytime soon. It's just that it was something that I had in mind when I took that decision. So this was the first factor. The second factor was that I've kind of stopped enjoying the process that much because I was working on projects and I was staying in calls a lot, and it wasn't reoccurring revenue as well. So I knew that since we were a software development agency, usually customers work with you for one project and then you don't really get paid other than maybe small updates or maintenance if you also
Yeah.
offer those services. So I was like lacking the recurring revenue. And then some of my other friends, they were in 12th grade, so they had their final exams, they had to focus on their education a bit more, uh, or they were, let's say, just getting into college, so they were maybe getting internships and stuff like that. So I was kind of left on my own with my one of my friends, which he's in 11th grade right now. So revenue was going down. We saw this no code wave rising, but we were lacking the recurring revenue. I think these are the three aspects. And like I said, the process and the journey wasn't feeling as great as it was before. So then I always loved the SaaS industry and the whole SaaS environment, because my dream was actually to transit into having like a subscription based company at some point. But I was doing the agency and the freelancing. I loved it that as well, but I knew since the way I started that it was more so probably like a stepping stone other than my end goal. So that's kind of the process of me deciding to, oh, I'll try to kind of focus less and less on the agency. So I decided to finish the projects that we had at the moment with our customers and previous clients. And so after that, uh, I start to slowly focus on SaaS fully. So I was slowing down the work with customers and with my current clients for the agency, and in the same time, I was brainstorming ideas about the SaaS or like starting SaaS companies and testing them on the market and so on. So at some point, I got to the SaaS company that I'm running right now. I've seen that, oh, this is my first profitable company. I'll go with that because I found my kind of my best transition point from my agency to now a profitable SaaS. The transition was really smooth, and that's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice detailed answer, and it like I agree with basically everything you said. That's true. I like the subscription thing as well because I've kind of experienced the same thing. I tried a couple of startups as well a few years back, and I faced this. I used to tell myself this the same thing. I was always like, like at that point I didn't really know like the term like SaaS in itself,
Mhm.
but I was always thought about like subscription software service. I was thinking about it this way, and I was like, dude, like, and I'd also think like all these like startup accelerators and everything, like Y Combinator and all that. I read
Yeah,
somewhere like most of the companies that they invest in are these SaaS companies and stuff because it's it seems very logical, and sometimes like you have to look at it from a very boring perspective. Like it may not be a really cool or like like
yeah,
awesome or like flashy kind of business, but then it really works and it solves a problem. And if you see it from a B2B point of view as well, it like really works, and I think as you said, like for a very like a sustainable business model, if you want to start or something that is something that's reliable, I think like SaaS is a really good way to go ahead. And as you said, like the no
sure.
code tools, it's become so much easier, and especially with like Software, Bubble, and Airtable, and Zapier, and all this like connections that you can just
Exactly.
make, and, just get everything running. So I noticed that I was going through your tweets, and I noticed that I think, came back to Twitter after a long, you know,
Yeah,
gap. And then he said, I'm back here and I want to build my SaaS. I think that was like a tweet. So how has like Twitter
yeah,
led to you're followed by like Gagan Piani, the I think the CEO of like UW, which I just told you about. But
yeah,
um, how'd you get
yeah,
into like Twitter back and how you're leveraging that now?
yeah. Great question. So I think For I know that for most Twitter users or like Twitter people in the SaaS space, it's mostly the other way around. So they get into Twitter, they see all these people owning these really cool products and
Yeah,
software companies, and they decide to start a SaaS. But
yeah,
for me, it was somewhat the other way around it. Um, so I started my SaaS back in so it was beginning of this year, January, around that. So that's when we started. And so I thought that my friend told me there are all these big, really big software people on Twitter, so SaaS founders or CEOs, CTOs, and so on, and they get tons of promotion for their SaaS companies through their personal brand. So I was like, I always loved creating content. I always loved putting out, let's say, short tweets back in the day, and also when I was younger, I had a YouTube channel. So I was like, okay, maybe I could try to do this and convince people that my product is valuable, or that oh, I'm here in the SaaS space. I'm a young guy trying to learn stuff in this ecosystem. So that's what got me back to Twitter, because it's a great environment. So the transition was kind of like that. I stopped using Twitter when I, to be honest, I couldn't tell you an exact time, but I just used it for
yeah,
fun before. So now getting back, I was like, okay, I'm here with an actual goal, right? So that's
yeah.
selling my product to the audiences on Twitter and also connecting with great people along the journey.
Yeah, I think the way you're doing it is really good, and I've also wanted to be a bit more consistent on Twitter, but I've kind of held back because um, people only follow you when you're actually building something cool or doing something
Yeah.
cool, right? And I asked one of my someone I had on the guest, actually, you listen to him, I think Luca, and he says on the pod as
Hmm.
well, and he was like, I asked him the same question, like, how'd you grow your Twitter following? And he just said, like, do cool shit outside of Twitter and just talk about it on Twitter, and people are gonna
Yeah.
follow you. And I think that's what you're doing. So it
Exactly.
is like at that point, people are not gonna be like, oh, how old is he, or where is he from, or like whatever, like all that stuff. It's more like, okay, like what's he doing, like, and what's he talking about, and is he doing something cool, and like I want to follow him.
Hmm.
Um, so so you're using this for SaaS, which is let's get into that now. Which is the business model that you're running right now, Affistash.
Yep.
Um, so it basically is helping these businesses get more marketers and doing marketing in the modern way
Exactly.
of affiliate marketing. So do you want to talk a bit more about it?
Sure. I love to get like a quick description of it. So yeah, Affistash is basically helping companies and startups, especially in the tech world, find and recruit affiliates and partners using AI. So this is the sole reason and like the main functionality behind it, right? So I'm trying to achieve that with my SaaS. It didn't start exactly like this, because in the beginning we were targeting affiliate marketers as our target audience. So we wanted to do it the other way around. So basically helping affiliate marketers find good products with AI. But instead, I realized that, and this was with the help of some people in the industry, I realized that, oh, businesses are always going to have more revenue and more capital than marketers and than affiliates, and then people in general. So I was like, oh, switch this around, because there are companies that already pay people a lot of money monthly just to do this repetitive task, which is discovering and recruiting affiliates and partners. So if you search, and this is actually what I did, like the people watching can go on LinkedIn and search affiliate marketing manager or like partnership marketing manager. So what these people do is actually just their whole like attributes in the company are like their tasks are usually discovering new partners and affiliates and reaching out to them with an affiliate or like a partnership offer. So I was like, there aren't really any other tech companies that achieve this, or like that help people achieve this in their business. There are some recruitment agencies, maybe there are some marketplaces or networks, but these don't really help you directly, because it's definitely not something that's sustainable. So you may do it one time, but it's not something that you can do on a monthly basis. So basically, what I did is I tried to put together the power of AI with the power of automation, and solve a big problem that most of the startups have, right? Because 84% of the US companies have an affiliate program. If you go to an affiliate marketing manager or to a startup founder and tell him, oh, with our software, you just input your company details, you put in you fill up a form, and an AI will go ahead and scrape the web and get you 150 affiliate leads instantly, right, per month. And to be honest, the sky is the limit. So that's our base plan, right? So we give them 150 affiliate leads, just based on their on the form that they complete when they sign up, and we give a listing on our marketplace because we have an AI powered marketplace at all, also because I thought that would be a good addition. So we have like features for marketers as well and for affiliates.
Okay. That's a pretty good detailed explanation of it. How do you even figure out like this was a problem in this? Because
Hmm.
you were not doing anything related to affiliate marketing
Yeah,
previously, right? So
yeah,
how do you even get into how do you find out about this problem?
interesting. So to be quite honest, it's true that I didn't have any previous experience with affiliate marketing and with partnership marketing, but when I was uh, when I was running my agency, my dream was to find someone that can resell my services for commission. But so I was like, oh, if someone could give me the leads, or like if someone could help me achieve this in an efficient way that wouldn't cost me tens of thousands of dollars of actually hiring someone, then that would be a dream for me, right? So
Yeah.
so if I could find publications and blogs that could post about my agency so that we could get more leads from those, or that if I could maybe get listed on some newsletters for a commission, or maybe I could partner up with some other agencies or with some product owners because those are partnerships, then wow, that would have been amazing, right? But at that time, I didn't know that this was actually affiliate and partnership marketing. So I basically, when I started into getting brainstorming ideas with for my SaaS, I was like, what's a problem that I and other thousands of business owners experience? So that's basically, oh, they either don't have, or they completely ignore their affiliate or and partnership side. And that's a huge mistake that any business owner should reconsider. Or they pay thousands of dollars for an affiliate marketing manager that does, and here I don't want to offend any marketing managers and affiliate marketing managers if they watch, but they're doing repetitive work in terms of they just collect affiliates and partners in a spreadsheet and they reach out to them manually. So I thought that if I manage to do something like this where AI is really now really advanced. So just with putting in your company details, like basic details, like you put in your product description, you put in your niche, and some other content and details about your subscription model, an AI can determine your ideal customer profile and other really good really good stats and details that could help you identify your best affiliates and partners. So this is what Affistash does basically. So I thought that I should create a product where it's really easy for companies to recruit and discover affiliates and partners on a monthly basis without doing any type of repetitive work or of, I don't know, without paying huge cash for that service and for that result, in I'd say so.
And how do affiliates put themselves up on this website? Do they have to come up and do it, or do you guys just have like I don't know, some sort of like a data of like all the affiliates?
Hmm. Yeah. So basically, the Affistash software. So my product is kind of formed through like two sides, I'd say. So one is the marketplace where affiliates can sign up and they can find products to promote and so on. So that means that the companies that decide to use Affistash, they will get inbound leads from our marketplace. And then the other really cool part, which I'm really proud of, is the automated side. So we have like custom search engine. So that's something that I managed to code with my agency buddies through the experience that we got through building apps for other clients. So we created a custom search engine that's powered by AI. So you don't even need to get affiliates only from our marketplace, because that's not the main way we get people, like the companies. That's not the main way we help them discover new affiliates. So we have an AI powered search engine, which basically goes and searches social platforms, searches the web, searches
Oh,
all other platforms where you could find your ideal affiliates and partners. We just have that search engine that grabs details about your affiliates. So they get their contact details through their website, then they get traffic numbers as well. So what audience they have, what amount of traffic. And we basically structure that in a really nice way on our website. So that's how we help companies get affiliates and partners. So we have the inbound way through our marketplace where affiliates can sign up and they can apply to affiliate programs. And we have the automated way, which our with our AI powered search engine.
the automated thing is really cool. But in your
Yeah.
internal marketplace, like what is, I'm not sure because I'm not sure about how this works exactly. But can anyone sign up as an affiliate or? Um
Yeah.
okay, so if I wanted to, I can just go out and sign up as an
Yeah.
affiliate if I wanted
So
to.
if you wanted to, and this is what I try and I convince many people about, and this is exactly what we discussed before starting the podcast. So if you have any type of audience in the software world, especially, you should definitely sign up and try to find and promote products as an affiliate. So, for example, you have your podcast, right? You have your
Yeah.
audience. So you could sign up as an affiliate on Affistash, and we give out two daily software products and two daily affiliate offers every day, basically. So for every affiliate that sign up to Affistash, they will get new content every day, along with some really cool content that will help them kind of have everything they need to get started promoting that product. And why I mostly tell people that software products are the way to go in affiliate marketing is obviously the recurring revenue, right? So the fact that you
Yeah.
get money every month, that's a huge thing. So it's exactly what I also mentioned before with my agency. Another factor that made me kind of to stop wanting to work in that area was not having recurring revenue. So being able to achieve that through affiliate marketing and through referrals, that's a huge thing, right?
I think that's an amazing idea actually. Like it's almost like, at least from um a point of view of someone who is, from the affiliate point of view marketplace, it seems like a no-brainer that he would want to join this place because he's not losing anything, and it's, might as well just join this if he has some sort of following. And you provided those
Exactly.
two products so the affiliate doesn't have to go through and search everything because he's been given these two products as well. And also, like, actually going back to something you said earlier, which I was thinking about, is that you said that I don't want to offend any affiliate marketing manager and all that stuff, but I think like that's the whole point, right? I think because you're like using software and AI to replace a very repetitive task, and that's going to happen, as we know, like through the recent, all the innovation and everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for a lot of agency sort of work as well. A lot of the agency sort of work is repetitive, and that's why you've seen this sudden um, increase in SaaS and software businesses and even AI businesses, especially from like ex agency founders, because they work in this business, they realize that, oh, a lot of this can be automated, or and now they have a good
Yeah.
understanding of that, and then they go on and start a SaaS business. So I think it's probably not offensive, but it's something people, if they're doing that, should probably consider,
Yeah.
like how they could adapt to this.
hmm Sure. So, yeah, to be quite honest, like this could, so for any affiliate marketing managers or partnership marketing managers out there, if they just want to find a quick way to find new leads, to recruit new affiliates and partners, I think see that this is a great use case for Affistash, and this is a target that we are trying to reach right now. So I had a talk with my CMO, and we're trying to launch some campaigns to see if this product like that we are offering would be a good fit for affiliate marketing managers as well. Because in my validation phase, where I talked to a lot of people in the affiliate marketing space and affiliate marketing industry, um, I, I I wanted to see insights about what their process looks like. So what do they usually do in order to recruit new affiliates and partners? And yeah, like I said, the process is really repetitive and sometimes annoying. And so if companies could save money, or if managers could save time using a tool like ours, I think it's a win-win situation regardless.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think it's Affistash is still new, so you're going to learn all these things along the way,
Yeah,
like
for
and see
sure.
what the actual use case is. So you know it more than anyone else. Like founder always knows more like what the use case is and how it could be used
Hmm.
for it. Um, you know, I noticed that you said that you've mentioned about Affistash already being approached to be acquired
Yeah,
for 30,000. 30,000. Was it 30,000? I think it was 30,000,
it
right?
was about 35,000, but
Okay.
about that, yeah.
And this was
So,
after how much? After how much after was it after you started this officially?
so it was about 2 months, 2 months and a half in, something like that.
Oh, that's
So
pretty.
we were at around, that's a pretty early approach to be acquired, but I think just the fact that we had something that maybe lots of people in the affiliate marketing world thought about. So basically implementing AI into affiliate recruitment and into partnership recruitment.
Yeah.
I think just being such a revolutionary process, or like such a revolutionary concept in the market, maybe that sparked the attention of a company that's been known in the game for longer than us. So at that time, we didn't cross 400 MRR. I think I was at about 480, if I recall. Oh, my bad, 380, something around that. Right now, like we crossed 500 MRR, and this month I also got a CMO to help grow and accelerate the process. So, because I'm really bad at SaaS marketing, I'm not good at writing content. I'm not good at social media marketing, although I try my best on Twitter and LinkedIn. So that these were all of my customer acquisition channels for now. So just I think that having someone to take care of most of the marketing tasks, just so I can focus on what I do the best, which is the product side and improving the product that we have right now, or taking care of the features that we currently have and rebuilding and iterating. I think that's a huge relief for me. But yeah, to answer your question, it was about 2 months and a half, 2 months and a half in, something about that.
So why'd you reject the offer?
Yeah, interesting question,
Did
right?
you believe that you
I
could
think
scale
most
it?
of the
Like,
people
did
think,
you believe that?
yeah.
Yeah, no, like you've kind of answered it kind of because you believe that you're good on the product side, and now
Mhm.
you've hired someone for the marketing, so you fill the team. But like you said, you were approached by a bigger dog in the industry, so why would you say no to them?
Yeah, well, basically, I'd say that. So just knowing that, oh, first month we achieved $110 MRR. Second month it doubled. Uh, Second month, with 2 weeks in, it almost doubled again. Third month, 500. We crossed the 500 margin. So just having these metrics, seeing that the MRR doubles or grows about 50% to 100% every month, just made me think that this is kind of undervalued, because if it grows at this pace, then in maybe 6 months I'll be over 1,000 MRR, which is way more, especially in a such a big market as software affiliate marketing. I think the valuation would be higher, and just it was something in the back of my mind that told me, oh, you didn't achieve even 5% with what you can achieve with this. So yeah, that kind of made me reject the offer. But to be quite honest with you, I'm still in touch with the people that approached me, because they said that, oh, it's such a nice product, we want to watch it develop, and yeah, if we want to sell it at any point, feel free to contact us. We would be open to negotiate at any point. So I'm not in talks for selling, but I'm still in talks with those peoples. I would consider them some great people. They actually managed to get me some referrals, some new customers. So I I didn't cut contact. So the idea of selling Affistash is still there, just not right now.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Exactly.
Which is
That's how
actually
I put it.
amazing. It's amazing that you've been able to achieve this already now. And even if you did decide to sell it back then, $35,000 would be a lot of money, considering the
Yeah, it
average
would.
salary in Romania and at the age of 16 as well. Um, but if you were to start a SaaS now, though, like you mentioned about this whole no code thing, but you're not even doing no code. You're actually coding out this
Yeah,
thing,
I'm
right?
coding.
So yeah, so if you were to like for someone who wants to start a no code SaaS, what would you tell them how to get started?
Great question. Well, to be quite honest with you, I'm no expert, so I'll just tell you a
Yeah,
personal opinion. I because still in one of my first SaaS ventures, like this, just the speed that Affistash grew at, and kind of me trying to grow this, I'm still learning a lot. So but I think the most important thing, and this is what I mention every time when I someone asks me a similar question, is for sure with before starting to build your product, just put up a quick landing page about what you want to do. Put an email collection section, so basically an email field where you can grab people's emails and go market that. Go talk to people. Go outreach people on LinkedIn. Outreach people on Twitter and tell them about your idea. You can outreach maybe 100 people and only 10 will reply. But if they are experts in that field, then their opinion will matter 10 times more than you telling your friends or your
yeah,
parents about your idea and they saying, oh, it's a great idea, go ahead and build it. Because this happened to me a lot of times, and while trying to put up some new SaaS ideas, when I was brainstorming SaaS ideas, I found out that it's way more efficient to do what I described before. So to just put up a quick landing page, you can use whatever you want. You can use WordPress, you can use Webflow, Bubble,
yeah.
whatever you want. Just put up a quick landing page. It should look pretty, like, it doesn't even have to be fancy. So you don't have to put your time and have tons of animations or have a really
Just
fancy
make it look
landing page. You
legit.
can just exactly. Put in some mock-ups of your product. So maybe like an image that you want it to have. Put up a good hook. So basically you start with the problem that you want to solve or like the solution that you have for that problem. Go talk to people. So I would recommend platforms like Indie Hackers, Twitter, LinkedIn, maybe even Product Hunt, though it might be a bit early if you don't already have a product to go on Product
Yeah.
Hunt. But yeah, talking to people is the most important thing before you go ahead and build it. But when you start building it, if you have programming experience, try to pick a tech stack. So like a collection of frameworks and programming languages that will allow you to build your MVP or like your demo the as fast as possible. Because you want to, once you get that first kind of sense of validation, it's important to get your product on the market as quick as possible and try to test it and iterate it. Because, like I mentioned in the beginning, like Affistash was intended to be for marketers. It didn't work out. So, it just the fact that I built it really quickly, it allowed me to kind of iterate and move it from the focus to be from marketers to companies. So I think this is a really important thing. And if you don't have experience with coding, I'd rather say uh, probably you should explore the no code tools that are out there. So I obviously probably you could get something done with Webflow, Bubble, Zapier, and if you want to pick like a payment processor, maybe Gumroad, Paddle, or Stripe.
Yeah.
So I think that's what most of people use nowadays.
What's the tech stack for Affistash though?
Mhm. Yeah, so for Affistash, I we used so programming languages. it's fully JavaScript, and then the API is coded in Python. And in terms of the frameworks that we used is, so we used Next.js, which is like a JavaScript framework. So Next.js for the app mostly. So everything is built in Next.js, the landing page and the product itself. So like the platform is built in Next.js as well. But
Okay,
yeah,
and you're still the
those are the
sole
three.
developer?
No, I built it with a friend of mine that I had, that we worked on together in the agency a lot. So
Okay.
I built it with him in 2 weeks. It was great because we had good chemistry because we worked on so many projects together. We just got together and coded it in 2 weeks. He took care of the landing page. I did some of the product side. He did a part of the product side. So it was a smooth process. But I guess I'm a bit lucky on this side because I have really cool partners and a talented friend group. So
Yeah.
yeah, but this is how I built it. And now in terms of who actually adds new feature to Affistash nowadays, it's usually a combination of me and my friend that I mentioned before. So Adrian, it's either me or Adrian. We work together sometimes because he has his projects as well. So if he needs any help, I I also try to help him with implementing features as fast as possible when I have some free time. So we kind of exchange or trade services in that way, if you would call it.
That's interesting. And you, it again shows the power of a community and knowing the right people. And,
Exactly.
but it's important to like that they be relevant, right? So as you said, like you had friends and family that you could have asked these questions to validate your product, but then it would have been very detrimental for your like app or sorry, software, website, whatever. And
Yeah,
so it's not just good enough knowing the people, you need to know the right people for the right thing, you know, and so you
exactly.
can actually leverage that. Um, and
Sure.
so you mentioned this a couple of times now about implementing AI and automating your like your some of your like tasks within the website, which has really helped you. And I kind of want to know your as someone who is 16 and who is definitely going to be affected by all of this, and because not only are you working
hmm
on a company like this, you are going to go in the future and also like use a lot of products similarly. So, what's your thoughts on this whole like OpenAI's progress in the past year, and what do you see as the future of it?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you read, like today I was just reading before I had a chat with you. I went through LinkedIn and I came across this that the the godfather of AI, Jeffrey Hinton, he left Google, and he talked about the dangers and warned people of the dangers of AI, and which is quite interesting. So I wanted to ask you what your opinion is.
hmm I think I've actually seen that piece of text, like that piece of content as well.
Yeah,
It might have been a different one, but it was the exact same topic. I've seen it on Twitter. So it was something like an OpenAI researcher tells about the dangers of the AI, like the progressive nature of AI
yeah,
right now, which is, yeah, yeah. It's, I don't know. To be quite fair, just me experimenting with AI in the past 3 months with my product is just seeing how powerful it can be. Because, like, it doesn't this sound crazy when I developed that feature with for Affistash? So a company just fills in their details, and the AI just scrapes the whole web, including social platforms, and find relevant and perfect affiliates and partners in their niche. So it not only can do that, but just imagine like I don't know, because I like you said, I think anything from replacing repetitive jobs, which is like a really, which is kind of what we're experimenting right now, correct? Because
yeah.
with all this chat GPT, auto GPT content emerging, I think this is the first step. But at some point, when AI actually starts being able to make connections and kind of to come up with problems and with solution for problems in a way more effective way, I think that's definitely the scarier part than just having some chatbots or some APIs that write random text on the internet. And then not even getting into the part with AI art or like AI music, because I'm sure that many of the people in the AI space are really familiar with all the AI music that's emerging right now. So I think tons of people are I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say in danger, but I think tons of people will have to adapt, right? So that's kind of my point of view on it. I'm a huge, like, I love it, to be quite honest, just because I see how it can impact the world. I see how it can help people be more experienced, or like not necessarily, but be more effective in their work, right? So I
Yeah,
see this around me. Saw that when building Affistash, but it can be in a good way and a bad way. So I'd say it's a double-edged sword. I'm
yeah,
curious what you think about it, just because you mentioned that piece of article that you wrote or that you
yeah. I
read
think
before.
Yeah, I think I've been trying to I've been trying to listen to more podcasts and stuff about it as well. Um, and like what's interesting for me is that I think people are panicking now because they see like how
Hmm.
easy it is, as you said, to because for a long time people have been consumers of things like this, but now it's become
Yeah,
so easy that anyone can start building things from it. And I think that's why it's so scary for people, because like
yeah,
you can like anyone in any part of the world can spend a few hours and start building this, because there's already so many no code tools available, and they can use some APIs, of ChatGPT, and actually start building like this really like crazy things, and people are building it. And I think that's why it's becoming so um not just scary, but just like people are in this mode where like, oh, like damn, it's here. It's because like now people have started building it, and it's I think it's
yeah,
very similar to like how internet first came in, people were building websites and all that stuff, but then it became very mainstream and very like out there when basically anyone could just build a website right within like 10 minutes, and anyone could build a landing page, anyone could build a really complex, like like with Shopify and all these, it became so easy to build stuff. And I think now with like in the last 1 year with this like AI thing, like now it's become very easy for normal people to implement this in their products and services as well. So it's like now like everywhere you go, like people will know about it, right? And that's when and whenever that
sure.
happens, that's when like, okay, like it's way too mainstream now. It's going to be here to stay. But I think, yeah, like I'm not an expert in it. I'm trying to get into it, but I think it's definitely like something that um there has to be a lot of talks and regulations about it, because
Yeah,
because I think like even though now it's still very expensive, actually, a lot of the things to like make that AI music. And um like I don't know if you saw this, like I saw on YouTube, as like people using like Joe Rogan, and then him using
yeah, I
to
know.
market some like these products, like these drop shipping e-commerce
Yeah,
products, and people, and that's like crazy to me, because the first time I came across it, and I was like, bro, like why is Joe Rogan like advertising this random product? And then I noticed like it wasn't like it was fake, and I was, and
true.
like from someone like me who's like so like who knows this, and then like it took me a few seconds to know it. So I was just wondering like how many like people around the world would just be scrolling and actually believe stuff like this. So yeah, I think there definitely has to be some sort of regulations, and like it's going to take a while, because we still don't know what people can do with it. Like every day, like there's someone doing something cool, and like the Drake song that someone made from AI, like that
Yeah,
went viral. Like I don't know what's next. So, um,
exactly. I think because I'm all for regulating it, and I was actually speaking to one of my friends that's a producer. So he's in this music space. So I was actually speaking to him, and I was telling him, "Oh, these AI songs aren't really that bad, you know." And
yeah,
he was kind of denying it, but I think in his, like, deep inside, he actually thought that they were pretty decent, because it's, yeah, they're not perfect right now, but just imagine how they can, like, they can get better with time for sure. And just thinking that, yeah, you could try to regulate it, but how do you do it? Because, like, if it's on the internet, it's there forever, right? Now you can try to take it down, but, like, and they're doing this with the Drake songs right now. All of the labels are trying to get down the AI content, but to be quite fair, like, once it's on the internet, it's there forever. So
exactly.
there's maybe someone that downloaded it, someone that posted it on an Instagram page, or someone that sent it to their friends. So you could try to regulate it. And since these tools are now available to the public, they're so, like, it's going to be so hard to take it away from them. I think it's just that how it evolved so fast. It's probably, I wouldn't call it too late, but I think that people have to adapt really fast, because we also saw how I think there's that big petition that's signed by Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and so on for stopping the AI development processes by these AI research companies until the world actually figures out, oh, how can we, let's say, have this under our control.
I think that's true,
Yeah.
and I really like the thing you said about adapting is very important because um, right now, as people like who are not in influential positions, I think the best anyone can do is actually just try to understand it to the best of their ability and keep up with
Exactly.
it, which can be very overwhelming. And that's why I think like they should listen to podcasts like these where they know like
Mm-hmm.
people just I'm joking, but like I think it's like useful for people to like listen to podcasts, sign to newsletters, and like be aware of what people are building and what the limitations and what the like the possibilities with this thing is, so they can be aware of like what's going on. And I think it's if you're oblivious to it, if you stay in a cave and not keep up with these news, then I think it can
Mm-hmm.
be dangerous for you. Yes, but I think the best you can do right now, as you said, is adapt to it, keep up with it, know what's going on, be aware, so you can actually use it and actually
Mm-hmm.
build something from it.
Yeah. Agreed. So, because like the thing is nowadays, I think this is one of the, some people would agree, some people would disagree, but I think that, to be quite honest, I landed in the SaaS world at such an interesting point because there are tons of problems that can be solved with AI at this point, and since it's such like available to the world, I think that right now, if you get into SaaS or into the startup world, you can still find tons of really niche problems that you can solve with automation tools. It doesn't even have to be AI, but just the fact that people are coming to the conclusion and they're realizing that there's tons of tasks that computers can do instead of us just to make our life easier. So yeah, I think that this is another factor that I'd say makes this world of SaaS and startups really really interesting at this moment, because I'm pretty sure you're aware of the Web3
Yeah,
wave that we had a few years back. Then,
yeah,
because I think that was 2020, and then we in 2015, or like between 2015 and 2020, we had the social
crypto,
media marketing tools wave.
yeah,
So we had that wave as well, where people, like all of these new social media platforms were emerging, and there was plenty of space for people to build cool tools that could automate and kind of take some work from the manager that had to do all the work manually. For example, a really cool story that I like to tell is, there's this guy that's really famous in our country. His name is Sebastian Dobrinku. So he's a software entrepreneur as well, but he got really popular. He kind of started like similarly to me, because he started freelancing. He got all of these connections in the software world, and then at 17, he built this really cool app. I think it was 2017 at that time. Snapchat Stories just released, so there was no kind of solution to synchronize your stories between Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and so on. So he built an app that basically, if you post it on any of these platforms, it would automatically repost it on your other platforms. So he kind of created a synchronizer that when you posted a story on Snapchat, it would get it to your Instagram and YouTube page. So this helped tons of companies save more time, because what did the process look back then? So a manager would screen record that story, or he would download it. Then he would have to rewrite the caption, get on
yeah.
log out of the account of a person, log in back to someone other's account. So the process was really repetitive. So I think tasks like this, if entrepreneurs, and especially uh, young people that are really into the tech world and into the social media space, if you as someone can identify a problem like this and just automate it through it, it doesn't even have to be AI, because that wasn't AI back then, but and you just have to try to find a problem like this, automate it in some way, shape, or form, and then make an offer that the companies won't be able to refuse, right? I think that's a great way to summarize it. And that guy, I think he went, so he started it at 17, and then at 18 I think he achieved $1 million in sales in 6 months with that product. So that's insane.
That is that is a, I mean, pretty interesting story. And that's insane. Is that app still like around or?
Yeah, I think it's still around. It's called Story Heap.
Oh, okay, okay. I've never heard of it. Um,
Yeah,
but
it was pretty
that's interesting.
popular. Like tons of social media management companies, like HubSpot was using it. Tons of music labels, because they have tons of artists that they manage, and most of them post on their Snapchat and Instagram. So that was a huge deal for them.
That's interesting. Sort of coming back into the bigger conversation back to you and Affistash, like talking about all of
Hmm.
this AI and you know the unlimited potential there is. What is the future of what is your future with Affistash and your broader entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, great question. Well, so right now we're working on improving the AI matching feature where we match companies with affiliate marketers and partners. So we're trying to improve our accuracy in that aspect. So that's what I'm usually taking care of. So that's what I'm doing usually nowadays with Affistash, and then I just got someone to take care of the content marketing. He's working commission based as well. I'm working with my CMO on trying to explore some new markets. And yeah, I hope next year around this time, hopefully we have a startup that generates over four figures at least, maybe $5,000 to $6,000. I'd love it to grow to around that number of revenue in about a year if everything goes accordingly. If it goes faster, then that's even better. If it doesn't go that way, then I'd probably have to rethink my strategy, maybe pivot or do something like that. But like the growth revenue numbers looks pretty decent at the moment. So I'm confident that if I keep the hard work going, if I keep myself motivated, I'm pretty confident we can achieve it. And then in the long term, I hope I'll be able to sell the companies for maybe say above $400,000. That would be a great a great thing to happen. But this is kind of my plan. In terms of what it can happen, I think that depending on how I approach the situation, how I try to implement new features to find new markets, it could go better or it could go worse. But I guess time will tell, right? So
Yeah,
that's my future with Affistash.
I think I think from the way I've got the information I've got from talking to you and the growth of Affistash, I think 5 6K is very much doable. I think you should be trying for like maybe 5 figures. To be honest, 1 year from now, and then maybe we can have like a round two of this interview and see how you progressed. Um,
Sure, of course, I'd love to.
so yeah, what's kind of like your day to day routine right now with everything that's going on in your life? Walk us through a day in the life of
Hmm.
Vic on a Wednesday, for example.
Hmm. Okay, great question. Yeah, so I'd say I usually wake up around 7 p.m. or like 7 a.m. in the morning to catch the bus to school. That's the
Yeah,
first activity. I try to keep my grades up as much as I can and kind of to keep this aspect of my life going, because school, to be quite honest, is really enjoyable for me. Maybe not all the subjects at school and not all the classes, but for sure overall I enjoy it. I have a great friend group over there. Then yeah, so that goes pretty well until let's say 2 to 3 p.m. So that's when I get home. I usually get something to eat or I cook for myself. So one of these two things, depending on how I feel that day. And usually during that time, I either have a call with my CMO I have uh, or I have demos with potential customers. So it can be one of those two things. Between 3 p.m. and let's say 5 p.m., I usually work on Affistash either in calls or coding. So that's, I'd say, roughly how I approach it, and then usually from 5 p.m. I'd go to the gym until 6:30, and when I come back, get some try to get some dinner, and from around 7:30 to 8 p.m. I usually get on my computer, and that's when I guess that's when most of the magic happens, because that's when I actually get to coding onto or to planning the next marketing strategies or the next marketing plans with my CMOs. That's when I usually have calls with some of my mentors or my friends. So I'd say that's a good description of how what I do in on a day-to-day basis.
I
But
think that's a
yeah.
that's a very good answer, and a very seems like a very packed day. And it's interesting to see someone this age like really working hard. And that's why, like, I always ask these questions like towards the ending of the podcast interview. And I'm going to ask you this as well. As there's a couple of questions, but one thing is like, do you believe that you have a purpose in this life?
Mhm. Sure, definitely. I think that I just want to show that obviously me still being in high school, seeing tons of kids being demotivated or being like uh I don't know, maybe a bit uncertain about their future just because, let's say, they don't get good grades in school, or maybe they don't have such a supportive friend group. I just want to try to show them either through I try to do it through my actions that look, there will always be people that you can surround with that will make you a better person. That can
Yeah,
be through a work environment, how it was in my case. So I found all these really cool people in communities, and you can get great stuff together. And for there are tons of people that are uncertain about what they'll do in their career, or maybe it's not something that it started in school, or maybe it's not something that's so accepted by the society. Because to be quite honest, it's a bit weird for me as well, because many of the people that I speak to on a day-to-day basis, they don't really understand the first of all, they don't really understand all these this hype in the software world. Or some of the people ask me, oh, but what does your company do? So when I tell them what Affistash does, so basically helping companies discover and recruit affiliates using AI, you're like, oh, okay. But they're usually really disappointed in my answer, because probably most of the people are expecting way flashier things to
yeah.
happen, right? But my purpose right now, I think, is just making a good situation for myself, and then trying to inspire others around my first, I'd say in the first phase, around your family and friend group. Then if you can influence more people into living a better life through other methods, maybe through attending podcasts like yours, or
Yeah.
through uh, going to different YouTubers and stuff like that. So I think that's what I'm trying to achieve, because right now I'm probably at the point where I'm still trying to figure out my situation, because I wouldn't call myself fulfilled with what I've achieved at all yet. So I still think I have the way to go. But if I manage to inspire some people, or to motivate some people and try to get them to live a better life in the process, then that's what matters the most for me. So I think for now, like, getting back to your question, definitely trying to see how much I can achieve in this software ecosystem and software world, and then number two, and then number one, I'd say helping other people realize that, oh, it's okay to not be passionate about something that's cool. There are plenty of fields that are really good career paths outside. So I'd say that if I'd managed to achieve that, I definitely am really happy at the end of the day. So
I think that's a very profound, deep answer, man. Like that shows the maturity that you have, even though you're only like, still a teen, like how much knowledge you've had from all these experiences. And I agree with you in, it kind of goes back to what you were talking about before that, like your Affistash, it might not sound as flashy, but, like most of the businesses, obviously, even especially when they start, aren't. And a lot of people that you talk to right now, obviously, they're not going to know what like affiliate marketing is and stuff. Like a lot of adults don't know about
exactly.
it. Like obviously, the young people want it. And then yeah, I think like with this podcast, and obviously you can share it around with your network. I think it's the amount of like value you've given in this podcast really shows that,
Exactly.
and we've got like your life story, how you've grown, and you've taken your learnings every step along the way. I think it's been super interesting. And like this is an interesting question that I want to ask you, because most of the people I've interviewed are older. It's usually like college level students, or maybe people a bit older. But like, do you ever care about your legacy, or like if you do, like what do you want your
Yeah.
legacy to be?
Um, well, I'd say I'll be honest, I haven't really thought about it that deep yet, but I
Yeah,
think just living a better, like living a good impression, or like actually influencing people into good, is I think all that I want people to remember me for, right? Because just seeing that the people that inspired me along the journey, so people like Sam Altman, the
yeah,
CEO of OpenAI, right? He started a company at 19 and sold it for $40 million. That obviously pushes me and inspires me every day. Or Sebastian, the guy that I just talked about before, he started a company in social media management at around 17, 18, and he grew it to, I don't know, 100, like $1 million in 6 months, which is crazy. So just if I could have a similar impact in people's lives by, let's say, attending podcasts like you host, which is amazing for the youth especially. I think if I could do that, that's more than enough for me in terms of living my legacy,
yeah,
and influencing the world into being a better place.
yeah. I think that's obviously you are already in a good path for that. And
Thank you.
you've talked a lot about all these like wins that you've taken and all these things. I wanted to like if in a minute or two, or like how much of you longer you want to talk more about, like in the just to kind of wrap it up, is some of the really like low points of your life, or some things that you've really learned from, and those hard hitting life lessons that you've learned so far, in like in terms of building a company, and what have you learned from that experience?
Sure. I think that's a great question. And I think every entrepreneur or someone that's building and that's striving to be uh, a great person in the business world, that's a really important question that everyone should ask themselves. Because I think that will always help you get through those low point moments. So basically, some of the first things that I try to do when I feel that I'm going like through a low point moment, I'm trying to think about all the things that I've managed to achieve to this point, and I'm trying to think about all of the opportunity that I could miss out if I'm stopping now, right? Because all everyone goes through that low points. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something personal happened in your life, or maybe your business is not doing too good, because that's always a possibility, and you have to try to get over that. And so this is a good habit that I think should take you through your lower moments. And then another really good habit that helped me is actually thinking about, oh, if I manage to scale this company to the amount that I want, then this problem might become a daily issue. So I have to be able to get used to it, right? So let's say I had two customers churn this month. So I'm sad, oh, my revenue is going down. But then you have to think about, oh, if you manage to 100x your company in terms of revenue, then you'll have 400 less customers every month, because your churn will be 400 customers. So if you just put it in your mind that, oh, I'll have to get used to these lower moments, or like to these events that are not so pleasant through the journey of building a company. And I think that helps a lot, because especially in the earlier days, you might have a lot of customers that try out your product and they leave. So you don't have to be demotivated by, oh, my product is bad, or my idea sucks and stuff like that. You just have to try to talk to those people and to get to understand why they left, instead of trying uh, to find a weird explanation, or to find excuses on why your product isn't to the point where it should be. So I think always turning, I love this idea of turning the bad into good, because there's always possibility of doing that. And it's, as an entrepreneur, if you manage to see that instead of always seeing the bad side, then you definitely have a big mindset, like a mindset advantage, for like, against other people, right? So just being able to see like the bright side in the bad moments is always going to help as an entrepreneur, and also in a personal standpoint.
I think that's a solid answer, man. And uh, it's great. Like to sum it up, basically, people need to realize like taking L's is part of the game. Like,
Of
and
course.
I think like a lot of younger people that probably start a business, and that's one thing I wanted to interview, and like my focus is more like Gen Z people as well, because I think we feel that like because especially with the social media and Twitter and Instagram, like we think it's all like flashy and it's all like like we're just seeing the success, but we're not seeing like else and like and the losses, and I think it takes a lot more losses before the first W take, and that's
Of
what's
course.
important to have people like you that you know like even for you, like even though you're young, you've already like gone through your phase of like having customers, losing them, and like starting businesses that didn't work out as well at scale, and like everyone has that. And I think it's important like to for anyone that's trying to start any sort of any project or business, that's like we're just seeing always the end things when we're not seeing the part where like they like kept taking losses, and most people don't make it out actually of that that point where they take a loss. So um
Of course.
yeah,
100% agreed.
I think to wrap it up as my last question, the first question I asked you was, what gets you out of bed every morning, and my final
Yep.
question is, what helps you sleep at night?
Great question. Great question to wrap it up. Yeah. So I think so. This is one habit that I usually do. So I always try to write three things that I'm grateful for before I go to bed, right? Because so that way, whenever I try to get to sleep, I'll always have, in my mind, I'll always have the better aspect of the day or of the situation, rather than keeping my mind focused on the bad side. So I think that's a great habit. I know a lot of people are actually praising that and trying to, like, at this point it might have even become a cliche, but for anyone that kind of experiences self-doubt, or like experiences like a lower period in their life where maybe even sleep is something that's hard to to achieve, because like sleep time is really important for everyone's productivity. You should try to kind of keep a journal where you write three things that you're grateful for. I assure everyone that this will definitely help them
Yeah, yeah,
go to sleep with a more clear mind.
yeah.
And then, yeah, I think that's I wouldn't have any other metaphorical a metaphorical answer, to be honest. I think that's usually what I try
No, I
to
think you,
do
I
and what
think you,
helps me.
I think you nailed it because, uh, like I think being focusing on those good things is really important. And the reason I ask this question is because this is really important as well. Like a lot of people, like nighttime is when a lot of people are alone and they start reflecting on the thoughts of the day, and usually it's filled with
Exactly.
negative thoughts. And those negative thoughts and anxiety does not allow a lot of people to sleep at night. So it's important to, as you said, like focus more on those good things and write, journal it down, um, and kind of force yourself to, be proud of yourself for what you've done on that day. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, Vic, thanks a lot. You seem a super optimistic person, and obviously you're working super hard. You have the right people that you're looking up to, and I hope that Affistash keeps growing. And I'm gonna go and sign up for it as well, actually, as an affiliate marketer, because why not? um,
Sure. Yeah, go for it, and feel free to let me know. I'd love to give you a full access account, because I want you to kind of experience the full thing, right?
yeah, obviously, I'll do that thing later tonight or tomorrow. And for
No
anyone
worries.
listening, I'll drop the links of it below so you can go check it out. And yeah, thank you once again so much for coming on, and it was super enjoyable and love this conversation. I think it was one of my favorite conversations that I've had so far. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Really appreciate the invite. To be honest, this is my first time participating to a podcast, and it always has been a dream of mine to, oh, actually sharing my ideas to the world and doing it through other like other platforms than just my Twitter account, right? Because
Yeah,
that's obviously a bit more restrictive because you can't really express much just through like
yeah.
occasional tweets, and most of them are business related as well. So just being able to share a conversation with you, because I know you've also interviewed people that are way more experienced than me, so it means a lot, man. Thanks, really appreciate
No,
it.
yeah, I think it was enjoyable, and we could have gone for long, but I didn't even notice the time, and I just saw it was like 1 hour 30 minutes. So you
Yeah,
know, for people who like this, make sure to follow, because there's going to be a part two that'll be coming up again with Vic very soon because he's moving fast. So appreciate it, man.
thanks. Yeah, really looking forward to it.